Okay, let's talk about The Penguin. Now, this is a show I've been wanting to talk about for a while because I really enjoyed this show. I did not know what to expect from this show. I mean, don't get me wrong, I liked the movie The Batman. I felt the Penguin was a character that was rather underutilized. I didn't really see a need to have a spin-off show about him. But then again, maybe that's the point. There was so little talked about this character, you kind of were wondering like, okay. And this isn't a show that shows how we got to the point in The Batman. This takes place after The Batman, and it shows what he did afterwards. Because there are some serious things that happened to Gotham City, like I think there was a huge flood, there's a new mayor, so there was a lot of things that led up to the show of The Penguin. Also, I think a crime boss got killed by the Riddler, and the Penguin meets his replacement. And on the first episode, I think this replacement just says something, just insults him to his face, and the Penguin just basically just shoots him. Kills him right on the spot. And the Penguin knows that once this is found out about him, they're gonna come after him. And this is one of those shows that where the main character is an absolute terrible person. And does not shy away from this. And this show does not shy away from showing just how bad this really is. Batman was rated like, what, PG-13? This is very much an R-rated show. This show is definitely one of the finer shows I've seen all year. I'll say that much. And part of it is it reminds me of another great show called Breaking Bad. Do I even need to talk about that? Do I even need to make the comparison? There are several things about this that are very similar. Where essentially, but in Breaking Bad, you see an essentially good person become the king of the underworld. In this, we see a guy who's already bad, but still tries to become the king of the underworld. And he is constantly scheming, and he's working, playing both sides against each other and doing stuff like that. So, first episode, after the Penguin kills this replacement gangster guy, first thing he needs to do is dispose of the body, so he gets into his super cool purple car, and when he finds that there are thieves trying to steal the tires from it, he starts shooting at them, but he decides to keep one along as a helper because he can't do this job alone. The Penguin is shown as having a kind of brace on his leg, and as far as I know, there isn't really an explanation for that. I kept expecting to see some sort of like origin story describing that, and there are origin stories on this series, but no, I guess he always had that. I was kind of like, well, surprised at that. So, now after the Penguin disposes of this bad guy, he goes to see his mother. Now, the Penguin's mother is actually this very influential figure in this show, which really surprised me, because I thought like, okay, this is what I like about this show, is it's doing its own thing. This doesn't have to be a Batman-related show. This is a lot like, say, another film about a Batman villain, Joker, where essentially it's doing its own thing. Yeah, don't get me started on the sequel, because I haven't seen it. But, yeah, the Joker sequel. But The Penguin is essentially just this story about this guy, and he's a real mama's boy, but the thing is, he's trying to take care of his mother. And this is where it gets, like, really creepy, because later on it turns out that the one gangster that Penguin killed has a sister who's named Sophia, and Sophia, I think she's played by, I think it's Christina Milioti, I think is her name. She is stealing the show. This character is so interesting that it's just awesome, and they have an entire episode that's an origin story about what happened to her. Apparently she was convicted of being a serial killer, known as something like the Hangman of Gotham or something like that. And she got thrown in an asylum. Well, as it turns out, her father had actually done the murders and just pinned it on her, and then basically just was trying to gaslight her into just going crazy, so everyone would just assume, yep, she's the one. So here's the thing. Sophia eventually gets out of Arkham Asylum, because I guess Arkham Asylum in this universe works in the Batman universe, where all the criminals go there and then they just sort of escape or just get out or get cured. I don't really know how this system works, and honestly, I think it's kind of feels like it's kind of a satire of the justice system itself. But hey, so when she starts taking over the crime family, let's see, what are they? The Falcones, I think they are, and then this leads to business with the Maronis. And this is where Penguin is trying to do his business, which is with this Maroni family, but knows he's going to come in contact with the Falcones. So Penguin is trying to play them against each other. And a lot of things he does to undermine them, and a lot of the ways he goes to get out of the trouble he's in with them, feel very Walter White-ish. There's a lot of planning he does, and where there's always a situation where it's like, okay, this deal's gonna go down here. They both intended to betray each other. It's really only a matter of time before one just gets the upper hand. And that's kind of how the Penguin plays out. So here's some of the things, and I'm going to get into spoiler territory about this. There are two things about this show that they did that I don't necessarily agree with, but I will have to admit make some bit of sense within the universe. Number one, there's a crime boss, is that Maroni? I think that's Maroni that he's trying to do business with, but then that deal goes sour, and then Maroni joins forces with the Falcones and to try and kill Penguin. So while the Maronis, I think Salvador Maroni, I think is the main one. He's played by, Clancy Brown, the guy who does the voice of Mr. Krabs. Yeah, I know. And there's a time where he's just hunting down Penguin, and he just kind of has a heart attack or something. He just kind of he just kind of dies. Which to me, I'm going like, okay, that's violating a writer's rule. There's an old rule that I think even Pixar goes by, where it says like, coincidences are a great way to get a character into trouble, but they are a terrible way to get a character out of trouble. And I got the feeling like, oh, he just kind of dies there? And I get the feeling like the scene could have played out rather differently, that it should have happened, that the Penguin could have gotten the drop on him for one reason or the other. That could have easily been written there. There's no foreshadowing to show that he had any heart problems or any problems that would make him die on the spot. But I just sort of get the feeling like he just kind of needs to die here. But the best part of it is that the Penguin himself does not tolerate this. The first thing he says after the guy dies on him is just like going like, hey, I beat you. Yeah, I beat you. Yeah, we gotta get out of here. Yeah, this is how the Penguin talks. Hey, Vic, let's go someplace. That's how he always talks like that. Again, I want to talk about Colin Farrell's performance. Honestly, when I heard that Colin Farrell was playing the Penguin, I went like, that guy? He's a pretty boy. He shouldn't be playing that guy. And of course, they have to cake him under all this makeup and then give him that thing for that. By the way, spoiler, I'm sure you already know this if you've watched this show. The Penguin has two other brothers who he killed. And here's the thing. He killed because they were playing hide and seek, and his brothers went to a place where they know that he couldn't seek him out. It had a ladder there, and since the Penguin has a bad leg, he couldn't follow him down there. So the Penguin, as a young boy, just kind of locks him in there. And here's the thing. It doesn't look like he intended to ever go back for them. Because at the time it was starting to rain and rain really hard, and the place he locked them into was a place for the drainage. So those boys drowned there. And apparently the mother knew that that was what was done and that he intended to do that the whole time. And yeah, this is our main character. Crazy. So the final thing is that the Penguin kills Vic at the end. I don't know. I kind of felt like this was done because it was trying not to be Breaking Bad, where the main character starts to have love for his young apprentice. No, apparently they show, nope, Penguin's a bad guy, and he's going to kill his assistant. I don't know if I really liked the way it went down. It didn't really feel quite right. They really drag it out. I mean, he actually chokes him to death. He could have just shot him or something like that. And the reason I don't really think is very valid. So I'm going to have to say that. Anyway, but I would recommend this show because it's probably one of the best out there.